Hey, Shalom Israel, Shabbat Shalom, Happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath.
As always, if I can be heard, please put Khan in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from.
I think you're on mute, Lord.
Khan, I know, I'm doing something else really quick.
Okay.
Hey, Tribe of Issachar, Shalom, brother. Shalom. Shalom. And if brothers and sisters would like to be a part of the Q&A today, please make sure that you send all questions to AOCHouston@gmail.com. It's ticking across the screen right under our names. Hey, Sister Warner, Shalom. Sister Kanan, Shalom. Say we got 9 people on. I know, people are starting to file in. Jacob, Shalom. Shalom. Everybody got the first part of the instructions correctly. Now let me know where y'all tuning in from. Y'all. D. Miller, y'all Ramal, Shalom, Shalom. Okay, Sid Jackson, Mississippi, Shalom, Shalom. Hey, Tribe of Issachar, everybody's doing well, man. Everybody's doing well, brother. Just pushing in truth and sincerity, man, trying to carry the flame, So, like I always like to do at the beginning of the class, I like to ask everybody what they were studying this week. So, everybody can, or just a few people, put in the chat what y'all been studying. Hey, Fresh Prince Omari, Shalom, brother.
I mean, I can anticipate that most people would study what they're dealing with. Like the issue that they have during the week, they research on that. But
You would think so, right?
yeah.
And then you got to factor in that a lot of brothers and sisters in Israel, I used to have this problem, don't really know what to study. Even if they may have some sort of issue, they still, they don't necessarily know what to study. Okay, ceremonial laws. Okay, give us a few, if you don't mind. Just give us a few of the ceremonial laws. Put them in the chat. Because even with a statement like that, a lot of Israelites don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you for putting that. I'm just saying, a lot of our brothers and sisters, it's a slow grind when it comes to studying, So yeah, put some of the ceremonial laws up in the chat if you don't mind. So while the sister does that, we'll start off with some questions that we have. So go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 27. You say you can't really say you've been studying anything specific, but I'm still trying to get over the grief of my uncle. That's understood. But the best way to get over things like that, man, is to hold fast to the word of the Most High. Um, hold fast to this faith, man. That's what this is where we draw inspiration. This is where we draw. Whenever we're going through anything negative, the scripture is the pain medicine, right? Because we're gonna find everything. We're gonna find all sorts of different comfort in these scriptures, right? Perfect example. I read this really quick. I didn't. You can stick with what you got, your diet. I'll
Sure.
read something else really quick. This is Isaiah chapter 57, verse 1. And it says, The righteous perisheth, and no man layeth to heart. And merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. Sometimes, man, the Most High, he takes certain spirits up off the earth, man, because he don't want them to have to deal with what's coming. The scripture also tells us that death is better than continual sickness. But some of us and a lot of us, have family members that the majority of their lives they're dealing with all sorts of ailments, diabetes, arthritis, cancer, all these different type of things they're dealing with it. And then, the Most High, he just takes them, he brings them back, brings their spirit back in. These scriptures speak about things that comfort us. So when we're going through things, it's important that we seek the scriptures, man. And if you don't know what to read, that's when you seek counsel, man. A lot of brothers and sisters in Israel, there's a lot of tools that they have that they don't use, all throughout Israel, man. Whether it's brothers in camps or out of camps, there's all sorts of tools brothers and sisters can use, right? Like we tell brothers and sisters, hey, throughout the week, send your question to the email address. Sometimes you may send a question and get a response right there. Or, some people have sent questions in regarding seeking counsel on things and they get, to take it to the next step. Oh, okay, here goes a number. Call this number, speak to this person, whoop, things like that. So don't ever feel like you're alone or you got to take things on your own when you have plenty of righteous brothers and sisters in this faith that can help, help you get through things. Okay. I was reading Epistles of Jeremiah 1-5, chapter 1, verse 1-5. When you say Epistles of Jeremiah, do you mean Baruch? Because I know that that's sometimes called the Epistle of Jeremiah. When you deal with the book of Baruch, sometimes it's called that. Joab, more like Joab the murderer. He was definitely an enforcer, but he was definitely a cold-blooded murderer, man. Cold-blooded sociopath, man. I read that a lot, man. Joab was a sociopath, man. He definitely was, man. Let me see here. All right, so Yediah, go to the book of Isaiah chapter 27 for me. And I want you to start at verse 9 for me, right?
Isaiah chapter 27, verse 9. By this, therefore, shall the iniquity of Jacob be purged, and this is all the fruit to take away his sin.
Okay, so when you read Elder Manatazak, Shalom, how you doing? Hope all is well. When you when you're dealing with this book in Isaiah chapter 27, right? What's going on here is the scripture tells us that um judgments shall start at the house of the most high. And that's not a one-time thing. You know, judgment, when judgment happens, it's gonna start with us. And that's in the old world, time of Christ, and even now, right? When while we're waiting for deliverance and things like that, we're waiting for salvation, the ultimate salvation. Judgment is going to start at the house of Israel, right? So what you read about here in Isaiah 27, you're dealing with the Most High. He's about to chastise the Israelites, right? And when he deals with I'll explain it as it goes on. Read verse 9 again.
Isaiah 27, verse 9. By this, therefore, shall the iniquity of Jacob be purged. And this is all the fruit to take away his sin. When he maketh all the stones of the altar as chalk stones that are beaten in sunder, the groves and images shall not stand up. Yet the defenced city shall be desolate, and the habitation forsaken, and left like a wilderness. There shall
see when it says yet the fenced city shall be desolate, and the habitation forsaken, and left like a wilderness. It's dealing with Israel, right? It's just talking about how when the Most High brings forth this judgment, that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be desolate, right? But go ahead, read.
There shall the calf feed, and there shall he lie down, and consume the branches thereof.
Mm-hmm.
When the boughs thereof are withered, they shall be broken off. The women come and set them on fire.
Right. So that was the question. What are the basically what are the bows being talked about, right? When you deal in the scriptures, a lot of times you deal with trees are dealing with men, right, or nations, right, and so Israel was called a cedar, different things like that. So right here, when it says the boughs are withered, it's talking about our judgment to come, right? It's like the simile of a tree withering and being burnt, because that's what's coming. That the judgment is coming. The Most High is sending nations against us, right? When you deal in the book of Isaiah, it's dealing with the Assyrians and the Babylonians. The Assyrians for the northern kingdom, and the Babylonians for the southern kingdom. So when the boughs thereof are withered, right, that's dealing with Israel and what's taking place and the judgment that's coming. Somebody say something?
No, Bun forgot to mute his mic.
Oh, okay.
Shalom, Mashal Shabbat.
Mashal Shabbat, Lord.
Okay, so the next question is from the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, right, in verse 22.
What's the question?
Get that, Isaiah 13 and 22. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Who is the beast and who is the dragon, and all that? That's the question.
Isaiah what?
13 and 22.
Isaiah 13 and 22.
Get my mic to work.
We hear you, Bun.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Shit, can't get my mic to work.
We can hear you, Lord.
We hear you.
We can hear you, brother.
Isaiah 13 and 22. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant palaces. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged.
Con, so let's so when it says beast and dragons, right? We know that that's dealing with men, right? And so Isaiah chapter 13 happens to be like a future prophecy for the current Babylon, right?
Because when you go back up to Slock for cutting you
No,
off.
go ahead, Adawan. Go ahead.
When you go back up to Isaiah 13 and 1, it lets you know it's talking about Babylon. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see, and it goes on to tell you about lifting up the banner on a high mountain. It's talking about here now and prophesying the destruction that's coming now, and also takes you to Revelation.
Because when you deal with
head and 10 horns.
because when you deal with that dragon, that's Esau. Get that as a matter of fact. Can you go to Revelation 12? Hey, Elder Menendez, my condolences for the brother that passed.
Can't get my mic working.
Oh wow!
I believe I may have met that brother one time. I'm not,
Wow! Yeah, I know the brother Gary. Wow! Nah, give the family the condolences from AOC. Manat Mayum. Khan, not a one Khan.
Okay, I'm thinking of someone else then. But nevertheless, my condolences to him and his family, as well as you. All right. So yeah.
Revelations 12, verse 9.
Yeah. That's it.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Right. So actually go to Revelation 13 for me, brother.
13.
No, hold up. I'm sorry. Start at Revelation 12 and 3.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Right. So that's the same dragon you deal with in Isaiah chapter 13. That great red dragon. That's the same dragon. And it says, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses. So again, when you deal with islands, islands, sea, waters, a lot of times that's dealing with nations, right? So Isaiah 13 is kind of giving like a little glimpse into the different wars and all those different type of things that are going to take place in the last days. So that dragon from Isaiah 13 and 22 that's going into the nation of Edom. Anybody else got anything on that? Chief Priest Sharp, you got anything? Hey, Abun, we were trying to tell you that we could hear you.
Oh yeah, I wasn't sure. I was having problems with my mic. I was like, oh man, I can't. I know.
It's all good.
Hey man.
You got anything on that? Anybody, Yediah, anybody got anything on that?
Nah, Ken, you kind of covered that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not necessarily anything. Like it's like this, right? Because a question in my home was asked: is there anything that says Esau is that literally says Esau is a dragon? And it just goes back to how the Bible is always going to give you characteristics, right? Like we used to have. Well, I used to deal with some brothers that were Torah only, and they would say, "Oh, it doesn't say his name," and but it's like it didn't give you characteristics of Yahweh Shai in the Old Testament, in the law, and in the prophets. It's going to give you his characteristics. And so when you deal with that red dragon, when you deal with Revelation 12 and 13, relating to that dragon, it's going to give you all sorts of characteristics. Not only that, but going back to Daniel 7, right? Daniel 7 goes through all these nations as animals, but then it gives you the Roman Empire as an element. But when you go to 2nd Ezra 11 and 12, it expounds on the Roman Empire as an animal. And so that's where you kind of have to know the history of the Bible. You have to, it's like you got to dig, Right. But I mean, when you deal with, the red dragon, who do we know in the Bible as red? Right. And so Esau being red and the red dragon, those 7 heads that it's dealing with, that's dealing with his major empires. And even of the old world, the 10 horns, that European Union, they had that set up way back when also. That the European Union isn't a new concept. Even way back when, when the Romans first came on the scene, and then, the Edomite nation started rising up, they've always had those 10 horns. So, it's going to always give you those characteristics. That's why it's important when you're reading, to really, really take notes, to really seek to understand words that you're reading, all sorts of things. And even nowadays, when you're dealing with the prophecy and stuff like that, the scripture tells us to watch and pray. So brothers and sisters, when you read in the scriptures and you see certain things, you're going to have to know a little bit of geopolitics within the world, because the geopolitical landscape that's going on in the Middle East and in Europe and different things like that, the Bible's already outlined that stuff. It talks about it. When you read the book of Ezekiel chapter 38, and it's talking about Russia and his allies and stuff like that, the countries that it's naming, go look those countries up and you'll see the geopolitics behind it and how they're allies and different things like that. But the Bible prophesied it a long time ago. So when we studying, we got to make sure that, it gets deep sometimes. That's why brothers always say, hey, drink your milk, eat your breakfast first. Because because some brothers try to jump into the deep end and they're not understanding. They haven't understood the basic terms in the scriptures, like these biblical codes, trees being men, waters being nations, different things like that. So, there's lessons that have been done, and we can do them again just to show that, he is that great red dragon, but it will profit you more to drink your milk and to understand the basics of who he is within the scriptures so that you can understand where he fits in prophecy, if that makes sense.
Gone.
Makes sense.
Why not a one con?
And also some of the questions that have been asked from the book of Isaiah, some of the sisters, they get together every day and they, go through the scriptures together. And I'm here working from home, so I got an ear to it. So I would always, suggest, to those sisters that have been studying together, like, listen, if you're going to read in the book of Isaiah and the book of Jeremiah, make sure that wherever you're reading that, you go back to the book of Kings and the book of Chronicles to understand where that prophet is prophesying at. Isaiah prophet, it tells you in let's go to Jeremiah chapter 1 really quick. Jeremiah 1 and verse, you can start at verse 1.
Jeremiah 1, verse 1. the words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Anathoth, in the land of Benjamin, to whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah.
So we have one. There's Josiah. That's one king. Go ahead, read.
In the 13th year of his reign. It came also in the days of Joachim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah.
Right. So we have Josiah and we have Jehoiakim. That's two kings, right? Read.
Unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah, the son of Josiah, king of Judah.
Right. So, and then we have Zedekiah. So that's three kings, right? So it takes a lot of studying, but whenever you get to these books, make sure that if you read in a chapter in Jeremiah or in Isaiah, if you can, try to find out the topic in the book of Kings and Chronicles, because again, these prophets, they fit within some of these kings. And so it'll also give you more understanding of what's being talked about, you know, if you can figure that out. Because, you know, to tell you, like, you know, Jeremiah, he's within these three kings, right? So now go back and read about those three kings and what's going on, so that when you're reading Jeremiah, you can have a little bit, you know, better understanding of what's going on. Perfect example. Another question comes from the beginning of Isaiah chapter 30. So let's go there. These sisters are actually blowing some of you brothers out of the water, man. It comes to studying and then asking these questions.
They're blowing all of them out of the water, because the sisters are the one with the most questions and better questions than brothers.
So Isaiah chapter 30, starting verse 1 out of 1.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and I cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin.
Go ahead.
That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt.
Okay, so the question was, is this talking about America or is talking about literal Egypt, right? And now I'm gonna say this, right? Wisdom is double to that which it is, right? So we know that you can read some of these, you can read Isaiah 30, and you can apply it to the new Egypt that we're in now. But at this time period, it was talking about the Egypt of old, because you had a lot of Israelites in these times of the kings that still looked to Egypt, right? They still had an affinity with Egypt. Perfect example, Zedekiah. Zedekiah tried to make a league with one of the kings of Egypt, when he was supposed to be, what is it called? Giving tribute to Babylon. Because the Most High sent him there. Like when you read in Ezekiel and different places, Ezekiel has a parable about it, about how, you know, Nebuchadnezzar took the tallest branch, you know, and then he took, you know, from the fruit of the land and different stuff like that. That's another class for another day. But it just shows, like, Zedekiah, he went to, like, he tried to make a league with the Egyptians at that time. When no, the prophecy said that we're going in captivity to Babylon and they're going to have their way with us. But a lot of Israelites, and when you read in Isaiah and Jeremiah, it talks about that a lot. It talks about Egypt because our people during this time, they had an affinity with Egypt and they kept trying to go back to Egypt, right? But we know that everything in the Bible is on a loop. It's on a loop. Nowadays, the Most High, he uses Egypt, he uses Babylon, he uses Assyrians, he uses all these old countries of strength to tell us about the man that's on top now, Edom.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Ottawa. Go ahead.
it's one of those things where the scriptures tell us that there's nothing new under the sun, and so everything that has happened will happen, and like you said, it's in a loop. So we got these people today who have an affinity with the so-called Babylon of today. We got all these people today. We got all these so-called preachers and these you know what I mean, and they have this affinity. And the one thing that separates us is, hey, the Most High said, "Thou shalt and thou shalt not." That's it. Anything outside of that is you having an affinity for what you believe is more powerful than the Most High's words. So the people that have this affinity for our slavery or our captivity or the people in charge, it's like, wait a minute, you believe them more than you believe the Most High. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. It's about what the Most High said, "Thou shalt and thou shalt not," no matter what's going on. So, and it's a beautiful thing you brought out, but there's no difference from before to now. People are still having affinity for that, and it's the people that's in charge, or so-called in charge, our so-called leaders. You know, that's why the Most High said, "I'll give you pastors according to my own heart," because He's not with that. So why should you be with that? And if you are with that, then how true are you about the deliverance of your people?
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's a shame that these leaders are, in the beginning, most of the time they're about that work, but once things get sweet for them, they want to say, "Oh,
absolutely,
let's go easy on the enemy. Let's break bread with them and see if we could," because you want to sweeten your own pot, and it's a dang shame.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, like I got to be honest with you right now, I'm offering salvation. You know, 1995, one vial of salvation. And you know, just write to me, and I'll give it to you. Send that 1995, and I'll give you a bottle of salvation.
Yeah, right.
Now, but that sounds wild, but not in the churches, right? That's every day. That's par for the course in the churches, right? Because they have that affinity for, you know, not only the slave master, but the ways of the slave master. Forget about what the Most High said in the scripture, because if you read that, we wouldn't even have no vials of salvation. So I mean, if you're gonna be foolish, you know, then send me to 1995. If you want, you know what I mean? If you want.
It's just the beginning of time. We've had snake oil salesmen. It's not
exactly. But that's why you can't forget the Most High says, look in the scripture, and look, everything He said, He meant it, and that's why it's in there. Whatever He didn't say, it ain't in there.
That's it.
So He said, "I will give you pastors according to mine own heart." So if somebody's teaching you anything other than what the Most High is telling you, then He's not for you. So why should you have an affinity? You've seen what's going on in this world, not only with Esau and all the nations, but with our people as well. So there are a lot of people and a lot of things, you know, a lot of people that have affinity with Babylon. But again, like the scripture says, there's nothing new under the sun. So if you think, if sometimes it sounds like our message might be overlapping and it might seem redundant, that's because the same things have been happening over and over and over again.
How many times you need a remix or something?
That's really it. Go, King. Salat. I didn't mean that.
No. You good, because here's the thing. That's why it's important for us to understand where our foremothers and forefathers fell off at. Because again, we're talking about Egypt, right? And it is that affinity that they had for him. Because when the Most High said it's time to go to Babylon because you're being chastised, you got in trouble, what did they do? They tried to escape that, thus getting themselves in more trouble, right? And so nowadays for us, it's like, yo, when things hit the fan, we have to make sure that we're spiritually girded to understand what to do and what not to do. Because some of our people, even amongst the faith, when things hit the fan, they're gonna run to Babylon. They're gonna run to Egypt.
But here's the thing, though, King. Here's the thing. You got to go back to see what happened back in the old days. Now, the reason. Now, when you look at when the scriptures talk about when we were going out of Egypt, we leaving Egypt, and everything that happened to us, that the people didn't trust the Most High, was like, yo, why'd you bring us out here to kill us? Or we had onions and all that kind of stuff in Egypt. We're doing that the same way this time. It's like, look, I got a job. So what, you want me to take the jab? So what, you want me to? I got a job. I'm being able to take care of my family. You know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, wait a minute. You wait till shit hit the fan to believe, to do what you got to do. But what about before it hit the fan? Where was your belief then? You want to go back? Because although they worked you to death and they hung your men and they raped your daughters, but because you had a job, you were cool with that? It's the same way now. It was the same way back then. Because there were people that were saying, hey, man, you brought us out of Egypt to die? At least we had this and we had that and we had that. But look at what you were under. Look at the subjugation you were under. The Most High said, yo, trust me. I'm going to bring you out of all of that. And that's the same thing that's going on now. It's like, yo, I got a job. So it's okay to get a job. So what? So what? Yeah, I might have to do this. I might have to do that. But Esau gave me a job. What's better than that? Guess what that says to me? You ain't got that faith then.
Make bricks without straw, man.
Yeah, exactly. You might call it, hey, I believe the Most High. I'm for the Most High. You throw your fringes on. But if they say, hey, I'm taking that job away, nigga, where's your faith then? Because what we're going to hear is, why did you bring us out of Egypt? At least we had onions and all this garlic and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's my thing with it.
Right. See, but you know what? That should and that's what Yahushua was showing us with the Greek woman in Matthew 15 and Mark 7. When she begged and she had faith in Yahushua to heal her daughter that had that demonic spirit on her. He says, go ahead, your daughter is healed because of your faith. The nations are showing more faith than we are. Look at when Yahushua healed the centurion, the centurion's son. He was on his deathbed. He says, go your way. Your son is now healed.
Yeah, but that's even worse because now it's like, well, not only does he understand your unbelief, but he still acts accordingly to what he's got to do. How does that make you feel? Like, that doesn't say anything to you? Like, damn, shit. You know, we got other nations that's believing more in the Most High Yahushua when he came down and told us who he came to save. And so you get our people who say, look, man, the hell with Esau and the hell with all these other nations and all that. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I know there's people out there. If you think that they're not going to have some sort of salvation, you're wrong. Now, obviously, it ain't going to be what we got. But they're going to be there. Prove me wrong. They're going to be there. Think about it. They're going to be there. So when Yahushua did what he did with those other nations and healed those people of other nations, it wasn't because that's what he was sent to do, but because the Most High is so balanced. He's so balanced. Because remember, Yahushua told us what? The things I do are not of my own, but of the Father. Right. What I came to do because the Father sent me. So everything he did, even healing those of other nations, wasn't of his own will. It was of the Father's will. The ultimate, as we say in the hood, the head nigga in charge.
The HNIC.
So there are two things we can get from this. One, he was sent to do it. And two, he was allowed to do it. So you got to ask yourself the question, what was the deal with why he was allowed to do that? It was about the faith and belief. And when you talk about that broad with the girl and the he calling him a female dog and all that, and the centurion, it was the faith, it was the belief. It was the belief that not only we understand who you came for, but we understand who you are. We understand that you will do certain things for us, even though we know that we're not the chosen.
Right. Because the scriptures tell us that the Most High said that he's no respecter of persons.
Exactly.
You do him right, he's going to do you right.
He's going to do you right. However,
not saying that that the nations are going to get away scot-free and they're going to be
no, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, yeah, you have listen. If there are no nations, right, in the kingdom, then how could he that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity? How should that? How you gonna get that? You ain't gonna have nobody in captivity. How you gonna get that? If you are not around to park my car, then how am I gonna park my car? I need you to park my car. I need you to throw roses at my feet when I walk out. I need you to do that. But you can't do that if you in hell. God. So you need to make it to the kingdom with me so that I can make you my servant. Go all through, and before y'all say I'm wilding out, go all through the scriptures, especially during the reign of King David. Right. Look how many people he made his servants of other nations. He could have killed them all, but he understood what the Most High told him. You need servants. You need, you know what I mean? Look, I could bring so many other different examples, but I'll leave you with this. He that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. Now, if you ain't got nobody up there with you in paradise, how they gonna be in captivity? Who they gonna serve? You gotta have people to serve you. I gotta physically be there for you to put me in captivity. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're 100% correct. Tribe of Issachar. What the elder Benatazak Mayim is talking about, he's actually talking directly to me. But I'm trying to keep up with the conversation here on the Q&A. But what Benatazak Mayim is talking about, the elder, what he's talking about is something metaphysical. So it's basically a conversation between me and him. But behind the scenes, me and him, we're gonna rap about it. It's on a whole nother astroterical playing field than what we actually dealing with here. So you don't have to ask.
Con. So a question, I forgot where it's located, but I believe it was mentioned that David sawed people in half and threw people in ovens or something like that. Can y'all expound on that? Did David really go that hard? What verse are you? Oh, he said he forgot. You got a verse for him, Sean?
Well, I'll tell you, the Most High said that David is a man after his own heart because David was merciful. But we can read through history where David wasn't merciful. Okay. And the Most High had nothing to say about that. So, I mean,
I'm trying to remember where that's at.
I think he's talking about in 2 Samuel, if I'm not mistaken. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 12. But I think here in 2 Samuel, I don't think it's saying that. I think it's just saying he's basically putting them to work. I don't think it's saying that he's
Con, I was reading that last night too. Con, I like the haircut, man.
The water, Lord.
I was thinking about getting that.
Yo, bud.
What? Who says being righteous can't be fun?
God.
2 Samuel chapter 12 and 31.
2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 31. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brickland. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem.
Right. So I know it reads like he was sawing them, but I think he was just putting them to work, like making them work with saws and iron and different things like that. Am I wrong on that?
No. I mean, it was a little more, but no.
Oh.
Okay. Unless there's another one somewhere where it talks about how he literally saw it. But I mean, David was going hard on him, though. I mean, as far as when it came to, war.
Well, think about it. What happened when that dude came and told David that he
Killed Saul.
exactly what happened then?
Right.
So David wasn't, he wasn't no pushover. He did what he had to do, and we know that it was okay with the Most High because never once where you read the Most High punished him for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool because not once did you read the Most High punish him for it. So he was about that life. He was about that life. He had that same energy, no respect to person. He had that same energy. So yeah. And it was all within righteousness, though. That's the key.
Con, when you look at verse 31, and I was just looking at it. When you read the way it's actually put, he was putting people to death. You're saying that he put them under the saw and under the harrows of the iron. He was putting them under and making them pass through it. So he was putting them to death.
I mean, no matter what, no matter what those other things were, he was doing. No matter who he put to death, who he didn't put to death, he did things according to the scripture. He did things according to the righteousness of the Most High. And he was giving cats the business when it was necessary. He was giving cats the business when it was necessary, and it wasn't even a thing where he thought twice about it. And the Most High was cool with it because, like I said again, you don't read anywhere where the Most High punished him for it. So if he ain't punishing you for it, and all things come from him, then you all right. You all right. And you might not have the same type of headphones that your Dyer got, in the 70s, but you all right.
So let's see here. Another question from Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. Can you go there, Adawan?
Isaiah chapter 26, verse 20. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed.
Right. So the question was, what are the chambers? And so, the chambers is just like a room, right? Or a place you would hide yourself in, because when you read what he's saying in Isaiah 26 and 20, it kind of it's kind of saying the same thing in a different time than it's saying in Zephaniah 2 when it says, gather yourselves together, right? Let's go there, Zephaniah 2 and 1. Let's go there really quick.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
Mm-hmm.
Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff,
Uh-huh.
before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you,
Mm-hmm.
before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
Right. You may be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. So again, he's saying, go into your chambers. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee. Same thing when we was in Egypt, right? Put the blood on the doorpost, get in, the death angel is passing. So it's kind of those same type of things, get out of the way while I do my thing, while I bring forth judgment. So chambers is like a room or, a closet or something like that. Got anything, Shaw?
La,
Okay.
the water.
This is a funny question. Not funny, but it's a fun one. Do the
Must have
two-thirds?
missed it, man.
Huh?
I think I missed the question that y'all had before, but I know the answer to it.
Okay.
Yeah,
You want the
sure.
answer? The white man's the devil.
Yeah. Hey, come, that'll work.
Next.
This one says, do the 2/3 subject themselves to Esau because they truly see him as God, or is it really out of fear of what he might do if they don't go with the program?
Honestly, both.
Wait, read that again.
A
Both.
little bit of all that and some.
All of that and some more. Absolutely. And some more.
And I think they're even enamored with the whole system and how they're making
Right.
money and
Right.
making profit. So
Shar says, do the 2/3 subject themselves to Esau because they truly see him as God, or is it really out of fear of what he might do if they don't go with the program?
Both and more than that.
Yeah.
More than that. As a matter of fact, it gets so intricate because of the hatchet job that's been done on our minds and our spirits.
Come.
Absolutely. More, but that's absolutely true.
Okay.
That's a great question. That is a wonderful, wonderful question.
But see, I mean, don't think we just trying to be short with it, but it's like, it's all of that. Some people do see him as God. Go to the Christian church. Your grandmother see him as God. They got the white image of Christ in their house. They can't fathom the fact that Christ is a black man. They can't fathom that. So they're not going to want to get down with that, with the true doctrine behind it. And then you have those that, like the Bun said earlier, oh, well, unless you take the jab, we're going to take your job. So there's a comfort level there. Okay, in my security, I'm not going to turn to the Lord. I'm going to stay here because I need this. And so once they do that, they'll show that they'll get down with any program that he has to come forth. One world religion. Okay, no problem. We'll get down with that. So, and then you have those that just don't want to keep the commandments, man. They'll say, yeah, we know Christ is black. We know he's a black man. We know who the Israelites are. We know all these things. But now we're under the doctrine of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We keep Christ's commandments. When Christ tells you himself that he came to do the will of the Father. So it's all encompassing. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things that make, people the 2/3. Just pray, do what you can not to be a part of that number.
Yo, Stephen.
From Django.
I was reading that, and the way Stephen got taken off the census, I was like, God damn. How many of us can rock with that? And then I went to the Apocrypha when I read about the woman and her 7 sons and how they got taken off the census.
Yep.
Yo, I do understand why cats is like, look, let me roll with Satan. I understand that. I do.
Here's the
And
thing.
anybody that say that they don't, you lying to yourself. You
God.
do understand.
Here's
That's
the thing.
why they were talking about, our people were talking about when we were first coming out of Egypt. That's what do you think all the bullshit that was going against Moses when they would come out of Egypt? It was not because they didn't believe that Moses, well, part of it was because they didn't believe that Moses was going to show them, but they saw the miracles that Moses did. The problem was they had gotten so used to being dependent on a system that didn't benefit them and destroyed them, but allowed them to have an inkling of life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going on today. But when you look at back in the days with the Maccabees and that woman and her 7 kids and Stephen and all them dudes, they was like, look, screw y'all.
And here's the thing. Nobody's saying that anything like that is an easy task. I mean, to sit there and see your children being put to death, that's not an easy thing. Not at all. But it's like, you have to get your faith there. You have to.
Or it's honestly, let me be honest with you. When I read that story, I said, my faith is not there. They were frying these dudes like pork chops. And I was like, wait a minute. And she was like, look, talking to them, talking to her sons in their native Hebrew tongue, like, yo, these dudes ain't got no power. They got power to kill you right now, but
Right.
you're going to see them again. Don't worry about that. We
Right.
got this.
God.
How many of us could do that, man? How many of us could say that?
God.
Even if I never reach 100% of that, if I get to 80%, I'm good. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But when you go back to the scriptures, when our people started to disobey, well, they disobeyed. That was the effect. But the cause was they didn't believe. They didn't believe that the Most High could do what he did, what he could do, what he said he could do. And because they had been in a certain situation all that time, it made it easy for them to doubt the Most High.
God.
So when Yahushua came down to the scene, to the earth, that's why he met a lot of resistance. Because it was like, my nigga, we ain't see that great a thing from your father. And you said you represent him? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'm not on the believing tip right now. So at the end of the day, the way you show how you stand for the Most High is what you believe, regardless of what you think you're doing right now, regardless of how bad you're following him. Regardless of how bad. Now, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go out there and do no craziness. But if you got a certain point where you said, look, man, nah, I ain't doing that. The hell with all that. No way, no how. That's a start. That's a start.
Yeah.
So
That's a heavy
if I were you, if I were anybody out there, I would just send that 1995 to Bon Ariel Ministries. No, too soon.
Yeah.
All right.
A little bit more towards the end.
All right. There's a lot of hatred out there, but all right, I get it. Especially in Houston.
So the Bernard Ministries.
Well, because we already Houston, you're gonna have to contend with Joel Osteen. I don't know if you want to get
Yo, it's amazing how many times that dude been slammed, and these people still believe him. It's like you got him on camera saying certain things, And these people, you know why it is? Because it gets to the point where I don't care what he say, I still like him. Oh,
I
because
mean,
that's what it's got. Look, that's what it's got to be. Because he
It's
said
not
on camera, I've got it on video. He said on camera so many crazy things, but it's like, well, I still like him. I don't care what he says. Really? All right. Well,
They love him.
they love him, and that's why I'm saying we should change our name to Ambassadors of Osteen.
come on, man.
Hey,
But
Diana.
under him, the religion is the opium of the masses.
right.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna pretend like I know what all that means. I know about dollars. Let's get it down. I'm just messing around.
So the next
You gotta-
question is a sister asked, are any of the original Egyptians alive? I know they were Africans, but I'm not sure if they were different. Thank you.
They're in the Sudan. They're in the Sudan.
Watutsis and people
Right.
like
Not only the Sudan, though, there are concentrations of it, though.
Yeah. But the mass population, that's where they're at.
that. Like wasn't Manute Bol in Egypt? Isn't he one of them? Calls them men of stature. So you see it, Manute Bol and all his sons, those are, Egyptians evading the NBA. Or Bol, he's around. Those are Egyptians.
You're certainly treating them like Egyptians.
So yeah. They definitely still around.
Hell, we around. So
Right.
well, I got a question here I'm seeing. How great is Abonaria? Well, let me answer that. No? That's not, all right. Sorry.
I think this is where I yield my time.
There's a lot of haters, bro. A lot of haters.
Another question from Dan and Man. He said, brethren, are there any films that depict biblical history that y'all would recommend that can give us some clear visual of the ancient times that we can study? I don't know, man.
I mean,
Here's the funny thing about that. The movies that tell the most lies tell the most truth. You got to pick out the nonsense. I mean, you got to pick the sense out of the nonsense. I've watched a lot of movies, like when you look at the gods of Egypt, or when you look at the Ten Commandments, or when you look at all these other films that all these religious films, they all have a certain truth. You just got to understand what you're watching, and you got to pick out the sense out of the nonsense. I've watched so many movies, so-called religious movies that have told the truth. Like Moses. We know he wasn't that color, but they told the truth. They put him in the basket. It went out into the river. The Pharaoh's daughter did find him, and those things were true. You just got to pick out the nonsense. I mean, pick out the sense out of the nonsense.
Right.
You can learn something from every single so-called religious movie that you see. You just got to understand and match it to the scriptures to know that they're talking about you. This did happen or this didn't happen.
Right.
I'm telling you that from experience. Years and years of experience. They all tell a little truth. You just got to pick it out. So you can learn something from all of them as long as you know what to look for and what to not look for.
Okay.
I mean, if brothers have anything else, but I've found that because I'm a big watcher of those movies. That's all I do. So, I love it on its face value.
Right.
So when you look at it, just substitute certain things and you'll understand how things really happen.
Right. That's
Ten
like,
Commandments. The 10 Commandments. When the burning bush thing happened, the only thing that was fake about that was the color of Moses. Kanala'ah. and with Charlton Heston and Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
The only thing that was fake about that scene was the color of Moses.
Well, I mean, also when he put the staff before the Pharaoh, I mean, most of these pharaohs was the right tint of
Wait a
skin color.
minute. Wait a minute. I'm not saying that, but even with that, when the staff turned into the snake, and the other staffs from the Egyptians turned into the snake, didn't they have magicians that were doing that at the time?
Yeah, that I agree.
So it wasn't like it wasn't real.
No,
it was the way that they portrayed it.
Yes,
So all these movies told the truth. It's just who they're telling the truth about.
Right. That's like you can also watch the movie Ben-Hur. That's a good one. That goes in the First Kings.
The chariot and all that.
So I think that really would end. I mean, unless you got something else, AOCHouston, that would answer that brother's question. Go to these old movies, but understand it from a different viewpoint, from the biblical standpoint, from your people, and you'll see these things did happen. Now, the way that the people that they said was the color that they were, they might not have. They've been lying, but those things did happen. It's in the scripture that Moses came and Aaron threw down the staff and it became a snake. Yeah. So when they showed that in the 10 Commandments, was that a lie?
No,
it happened.
It happened.
Now this cat that they portrayed to be Moses was obviously a lie. So that's how you got to look at it. I mean, my foolish advice.
I knew it was a lie because Charlton Heston used to be the head of the NRA, which is like, sure. Yeah,
but King Charlton Charlton Heston was a lie, not what happened.
In the movie. Of course not. Not what happened. That's what I'm saying. Like I can't see a brother being the head of NRA and
Right. No. Forget about a brother being an NRA. The scene that they portrayed out of the Bible was 100% absolutely correct.
Correct.
It was just the devil that they had portraying the person doing it was a lie.
I just think, like you said, you could get a lot of truth out of some of those movies. I just think that for younger brothers in the faith, right? Like once we break that lie to them that, the Israel, that the so-called white man is the real Jew and different things like that. I just think a lot of people, they don't want to deal with those type of movies. Like, no, I already know the Israelites are black. I don't want to deal with that. I think they just be looking for as close as possible. Like for example, they used to have a show called The Bible, right? And when they got
that show.
When they got when they got to Samson, he was black. So I think brothers be looking for stuff as close to that as possible, just for the simple fact that it's like, yo, I've been lied to so long, I don't even want to go back to those type of things. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about
if that's the case, they might as well watch Cabin in the Sky and Green Pastures.
Because when you think about casting down strongholds in people's minds, I know for me when I first came to the faith, it's hard breaking some of those strongholds. You got to do everything you can to kind of make sure that you don't fall back subject to that. So I think for a lot of people, it's like, man, I ain't finna, but there's some good suggestions, like brothers put out the King of Egypt, Joseph, King of Dreams, different things like that. I just think for some people, it's like, look, I don't want to watch nothing where you got Edomites betraying Israelites. To hell with that. You know what I'm saying? So
Now you're right, but you got to understand something. They got the history, so do we.
Okay.
So once we read the history and we see what they write or show, we can say, hey, wait a minute. Okay, this happened. They right, but this wasn't the dude that did it. Or this happened, but this part didn't really happen. Because why? We got the scriptures. Ain't no excuse for that. We got the scriptures. But you're right. Some people just don't want to, they don't want to go through that thing. And it is what it is.
And also, I think, when it comes to brothers and sisters that are young in the faith, we come in and we learn certain things, and until we kind of, it's like a baby that first learns how to walk, right? We kind of err on the side of caution with a lot of things. You know, like you think it, you know, a lot of brothers and sisters, they come in and they think it's like, hey, you know, straight to, you can't do nothing. But then as you learn, you kind of let your hair down a little bit, like, okay, well, I can do that. You know, that's not breaking, you know. So I think for a lot of people, it's that they first come in, it's like, look, I ain't playing no games. Don't even tell me a joke. You know what I'm saying? Because they on a different type of time until they learn a little bit more. And they get
That's
a little
true.
bit more understanding.
That's true.
It's like,
That's true.
okay, okay, I could do that. You know, it's just one of those
Well,
things.
you got to be careful with that too, and you're right about that, because look at what's that? The fourth commandment: "Thou shalt not open the door to go outside." Now, a lot of brothers might not, but that ain't no commandment.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though.
You get the point.
I get the point. Absolutely, I absolutely do. Because you have,
So
you know,
I'm agreeing with you.
no, you're right. And I know you are, because you have, and I say this all the time. You have, you know, and there's no disrespect to anybody that came before, because you know, hey, brothers did the best they can, but you do have, you know, some elders and people like that in the faith that make it like that. And so if that's all people see and understand, that's all they, you know, they're like, oh, well, I came up under such and such, and this is the image that was given unto me. Until you get to a place where it's like, you know, it's like a, you know, a dog that's been beaten. When they get to a family that's gonna rub its belly, it's like, okay, this is what it feels like to be loved, or this is what this is supposed to feel like. But a lot of times, you know, our people in this faith, they see only a couple examples early on. And because of some of those examples, they do have a very rigid understanding of this walk. And I think that's what, you know, like I said, like now I will watch a movie like Ten Commandments because I understand eat the meat, man, spit out the bones. But early on, heck no. I'm not watching that, man. Like, Edomites playing Israelites, heck no. And anybody that's doing it, you going the hell off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Once you get understanding and you've been in a walk, you know, a little bit, a couple of days, you know, you start to understand things a little differently.
Con. Now, I still think that when we look at the scriptures, we got to look at the fact that the Most High told us to have those type of headphones that Yediah got. But
because I needed to hear you better because your mic wasn't working in the beginning.
he got a mic. Oh, I thought you had a mic. I was like, you got a mic with that? What, like a 70s DJ?
Mic is separate.
Oh, okay. We need some new brothers. Hey, it's beautiful being with y'all brothers, man, today, man. It's I was thinking to myself when I was on here, I was like, man, it's wonderful for these brothers to be with me. It is. It really is.
It's always a reach.
Can you do something to his audio for me?
Huh?
Yeah. Can you mute him for a minute?
Yeah, I'm talking about you know, your dad.
Hey, I sense the hatred coming already.
He's a computer whiz. I've seen if we can actually do something to your mic so you don't say nothing.
Yeah, I know. But Abiyashai not gonna let that happen.
I got you, man. I won't let the brothers shun you, man.
There you go. He and I are one, unlike you two. Matter of fact, honestly, none of y'all from this country anyway.
Wait.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I bet immigration, dude.
I could set my foot anywhere, man.
I bet immigration, dude.
Nah, immigration don't even need to come over here, man. I got my papers. I don't know what you know about.
It's all good, man. We gotta have fun with this, man. We the chosen. No matter what, we gonna prevail. So we gotta have fun with this, man.
We're fighting from victory, not for victory. Victory is already
in the bag.
Wow, that's good. I like that. We fighting from victory, not for victory. Yeah, I'm glad I told you that a half hour before. That's nice. It's nice. Please, that's how I'm gonna tell it. We fighting from victory. I like that.
Hey, Daniela, are you still on? Are you still watching, brother?
Which one? Which Daniela?
New York. Yeah, New York.
Ours?
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably hate me.
Nah, because I wanted to see if he wanted to come on and explain something for the people. You know, he asked.
Yeah, he's in transit on the way here to New York.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. We got something to do later.
God.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, because I'm about to skate out myself, man. Because I got to get on the road too. I just wanted to pop in. You know what I mean? I hadn't popped in a minute. Been some, just going, getting some things going on. So I just want to try to be more consistent and popping in, man, because I realize that, you guys are nothing without me. I mean, there's something that I can great. I just love being with brothers, man. That's all. It's all good.
Yeah, I appreciate it though, man. We appreciate the insight. You bring a different type of
Well,
element.
actually, I didn't really bring nothing. I brought some jokes, and nobody take me serious, so I just brought some jokes.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
But I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. The longer you've been in the truth, the more you start to understand. And even if it's not from an academic nature, it's from a spiritual nature. It's from a logical nature. And you start to find out how all those things play a part in your overall understanding.
Okay.
And those things are not done by novices. And so when you see a brother where you might think, every brother you've seen, whether you thought the world of him or not, they have something to offer. There's a certain reason and a certain way and a certain thing that they understand, maybe more than other things.
Okay.
And so what you got to do is you can't close yourself off. And that's what I like about the classes that we do. We don't close ourselves off to any person, to any question. And every viewpoint is important if it lines up with the scripture. And what I like about us is even if it doesn't line up at the first, we endeavor to figure out, does it not line up because it's not right? Or does it not line up because we don't understand yet? So that's what I love about these classes. So I'm going to say shalom to the brothers and everybody out there in TV land. Let me get on the road. Most high bless.
Be safe, man.
Come, the water.
Be safe. Be safe.
Okay, shalom. Shalom.
So we got a few more minutes, brothers and sisters. Any more questions? Make sure y'all send them to the email address. Hey, yeah, you answered my question though, Daniela. You answered it, King. Appreciate it. So let me run up this. Let me run up the chat to see if I missed anything.
I'm gonna cover all bases.
Hey, the brother said we got to make our own films and cartoons. Absolutely, man. We absolutely do. I know the brothers from Israel United. They got a like some sort of movie coming out. I think it's called Joseph's Dream or something like that, dealing with AOCHouston's father. That's a good work, man. You gotta give brothers their flowers when things like that get done, because you can provoke brothers to good works with things like that. They do something like that, then next thing you know, other Israelites come out and they start, putting the pen to the pad and writing things like that. I know I'm a type of person that I like to write things like that. Like if I hear a song, I try to put a story behind it. I got some ideas, for biblical, sketches and different things like that. But it's for another talk for another time. But we definitely got to get on doing different things like that, man. Not there's things like IOIC Watch and Read, other things that other Israelite schools have done. Those are good works, man, and they definitely help when it comes to the children and helping the children grow up without the strongholds that we grew up with. You know what I'm saying? So gotta definitely shout the brothers out for those different type of works, man, because those are those are really good things, man. Brothers be doing. Even some of the sisters, man. I heard a Hebrew alphabet song, before, how to learn the Hebrew alphabet. My wife even uses her own version of the Hebrew alphabet to help the children learn. So things like that are infectious, man. The more we see it, the more, provoke brothers and sisters to get works to do things like that of their own fruition, So. So with that, if we don't have any more questions, I'm going to say shalom. Most High willing, we'll speak with brothers and sisters next Shabbat. Again, throughout the week when you're doing your studies, if you have any questions, please feel free to send it to the email address so that when the telecast comes, we can pop off with those questions, man, and give insight and understanding. Hey, Omari, give me a call, brother, or shoot me a text, man. I help you with that, help you, get into fasting and more and stuff like that, so.
Also, I want to give Officer Nawal Rakar from Michigan, AOC Michigan, the water for the donation. And I'm going to say shalom to each and every one of you, and may the Most High bless and keep everyone.
Khan.
And I say shalom.
Hey,
Yediah, man, I appreciate you, brother. You know what I'm saying, for hitting me this morning.
It's not a problem, Lord. It's not a problem. I mean, if we could lay one brick and put the mortar to build our nation.
Here you go. Here go the philosophy, man.
Hey,
but Yediah, hey, move out the way really quick. Move out the way so we can see that poster, man. Yeah, man.
Oh, word, that's nice.
The boy got the Jerome on his wall.
Yeah, I got Jerome. Yeah, every morning I see him, man. So it reminds me not to act foolish and stupid.
I like that.
Hey, now this is an Israelite after my own heart. He's not over righteous. But that picture AOCHouston over his bed. And
nah.
Yeah, bro.
Oh my goodness! But I mean,
okay,
with that, man,
I know you took the Playboy posters down, man, before and put that one up.
No, that's on the other wall, Yediah.
Yeah, that's another wall. Yeah, it's on another wall.
But all right, brother, shalom, man. We'll speak to brothers and sisters next Shabbat.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hey, Elder Manatazak, man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, shalom.
Shalom, Lords.
Shalom.